Welcome back to Sister Scoop, where we are covering the top 3 Marvel news topics of the week. We had quite a crazy drop this week of just like random things. I don't even know where to start. But we'll start with probably one of our bigger pieces of news that we're really happy about, which is that Wonder Man has been greenlit for a second season.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised that they did this. We had an entire episode about what comes next, and the consensus was pretty much like, it'd be cool if he got a second season, but we think he's going to be in other projects that are going to, take him away from potentially another solo season. And yet, here we are. Don't get us wrong, though. Thrilled. Very excited about this. No timing though, which I think is definitely interesting. They have not even given us like a coming next year or whenever it might be, so we don't know that. But interestingly enough, I do think it was also very intentional that they included both Simon and Trevor. So I'm excited that we're getting both of them back in season 2.
Yeah, and where the show ended, I think it would be super weird if we didn't. Like, they literally flew off into the sunset together. I think it would be so super strange. Yeah, you really can't have one without the other. And we did have a whole episode about it. And I think when we talked about doing a season 2, we said pretty clearly, like, it would be these two taking on whatever the next adventure is. That's what we would anticipate seeing, at least. And then obviously the other direction was if they would be in Doomsday or, even Secret Wars later on. But, I think it makes sense to have us having a season 2. I think we all wanted a season 2. And so this was just great news.
Well, and not to mention, if they do end up converting his origin story to a mutant, he could actually be one of the first, like, openly mutant stories that we will see in the new saga. I know obviously Kamala, like they mentioned that the big M word in her series as well, but I think it could be more of a focus even for a season 2 of Wonder Man than it was for Kamala in Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, I agree. Because also, let's be real, Ms. Marvel's moving on to a different group.
Yeah,
who might have a big role to play in the entirety of the Secret Wars, storyline. But I do think, his could be really interesting, especially considering what we did see in season 1 and what the storyline already was. So I do think it's a very seamless kind of transition into it. So,
and for the role of the DODC.
Well, that too, because they're still there. Yeah. But we'll have to kind of see how that one plays out. We don't have any details, but we do know we are getting a second season.
How exciting.
I know. On to some other updates. Ryan Gosling had some things to say about the Ghost Rider character possibly finally coming into the MCU.
Yeah, so as we all know, he has been doing a lot of press around Project Hail Mary recently, and he has said that he has talked to the studio, but, and I'm going to quote here, "It's a complicated situation and will keep hope alive." We know that he very famously wants to play this character and, has lobbied for it in the past. I think, honestly, I would love to see him in the role. I don't actually know that I've ever seen the Nick Cage version, but I love the version that they did in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a super interesting character. We've brought up the concept of the Midnight Suns like 1,000 times, just knowing who we've gotten on the board already. So he would be a huge key piece. And I think Ryan Gosling has the acting chops to absolutely nail that character, who is such a complicated and nuanced one. So this is one that I hope that they really make work. And if they're in talks with him, maybe that means we're getting, even if it's not him, which would be sad, we're getting a Ghost Rider hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think, him kind of saying it's complicated in and of itself, I think, to me, reads about the Midnight Suns in general, because let's be real, we've been talking about them for, I can't even tell you, probably since the beginning of phase 4, just about. Like, we've had them on the table as a group we really wanted to see, and we were putting all the different pieces on the board. Now, obviously, I think that has also become a little more complicated as we don't really have a Moon Knight anymore.
And Blade is in limbo still, again.
Just, stuck in a purgatory that I don't even, I don't think anybody understands what is happening to Blade at any given point. So, we haven't had Blade back on the board. We lost our Moon Knight for the time being. We will see how that kind of does or doesn't shake out in the long term. But those are two of our very prominent characters that we were kind of saying, hey, these are puzzle pieces. Yeah. So I do, now I'm a little weary because I don't think we're going to get that team up as soon as we were hoping we were going to, which is super disappointing. But I also do think hopefully that might just mean that we're going to get a Ghost Rider solo movie or something like that, special presentation. Regardless, something to bring him in by himself, so at least we can move that piece onto the board because we don't have him currently. So I do want to still see it. I'm hoping it's Ryan Gosling. He's cool. I do think he'd do a really good job with the character. He has a lot of depth to him, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's complicated. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think they may just need to be ad-libbing at this point. And because I know we talked a lot, I think I don't know if we had a Midnight Suns episode or we had somewhere
maybe a while back. I
don't know. We might have also just gone on a tangent in a random episode about the Midnight Suns.
It probably would have been Moon Knight era adjacent.
Yeah. But I remember us like talking about whether or not we would even get a Ghost Rider independent project prior to the team up, or if he would just come in kind of a la, I mean, this is kind of a bad example, but like Black Widow showing up in like Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, you know, she's there and then you learn more about her. Although again, that's bad example because it took them 15 years. But, you know, something where we see him in the team up and then we later learn more about him and his independent property is more of a spinoff. I think maybe they just have to like reverse, like what you were saying, reverse that timing so that we're introduced to him, maybe spend a little less time doing that then in a Midnight Suns project, and then we get to actually have that when some of those pieces are maybe in a better place.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking might be the way to go. It is going to be kind of interesting because I think and I have to be so cognizant of this as we've been doing things, but like as we know we move into the mutant saga, I can just feel the horse blinders going up on my face and I'm like, nothing matters but the X-Men. And so I like have to kind of pull back and be like, no, there are still other characters, other groups that we are going to still be able to tell stories about and we're still going to have content with, and it's not just going to be about the mutants. Although, obviously, that's my only thing I care about at the current moment. I won't lie.
Shocker.
But, hey, no hate on that end
I'm not hating. You have been very vocal. You've been very clear about where you stand. Like, I'm also excited for the X-Men. I have no shade towards those guys. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it definitely will be. But I think I have to sometimes pull back and remember, you know, there is room for other groups. Yeah. So, you know, if it pushes it down a little down the line, that's okay. Hopefully we still see him move forward.
Yeah, 100%. If it was scrapped, I'd be really upset.
Yeah, me too. On to our very last topic. We got a date for the Punisher special presentation. And actually, not only did we get a date, it's pretty much a culmination for the very end of Daredevil Born Again Season 2.
Yeah. I mean... Kate and I were texting about this earlier. Like, what is with the announcements on top of like releases? Like, with Punisher, I can almost understand it because it is so clearly tied, and these two projects are so incredibly entwined. It does make sense, but to announce it like on release day, like they did with Daredevil, I believe on Wonder Man release day, it's like, what are you doing? But all that aside. The other thing that we got, other than the date, which is May 12th, the week after the finale of season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, we also got a title, which is Punisher One Last Kill. We know this isn't the end of the Punisher because he is going to be in Brand New Day. Otherwise, that title would scare me a little bit.
Yeah, and we also know timeline-wise, if this is going to be right on the heels of Born Again Season 2, well, Born Again Season 2 is happening before Brand New Day. Like we know that. So I do think that doesn't worry me as much either. I do just want to point out for everybody that because they decided to do that, they also, I would assume this is why, shifted to have 2 episodes of Daredevil come out next week. Yeah, which Taylor was not a big fan. I literally said it to her, and I think I just was like, what the F? Like, I think I was like, what is going on?
Well, for a little bit of context for why we feel this way, we are watching it. Okay, we're on the East Coast. We're watching it at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, and then we are immediately recording, which means not only are we going to be watching from 9 to roughly 10, but now 10 to roughly 11. And then next week, we're going to be starting recording at like 10:45. So, y'all, if next week's, episodes are a little shambly, it's because it's like 10:45. So Marvel, why? If you're gonna do that, please go back to like your regular release times that were not like 9 p.m. for the East Coast.
At least like 8. Like I'd do a nice 8 o'clock.
Yeah, or like a 7 or 7:30. Like I know 8's like primetime television, but like, you know, the 7 o'clock slot is still meaningful. Why are we, I'm too tired for this.
Yeah. And the reasoning behind it, I would assume it's so it doesn't step too aggressively on the toes of Spider Noir, which is then also coming 2 weeks after that. But like,
okay,
that's not inherently Marvel. So I also was kind of like, no, I could see Marvel stepping on the toes on purpose. So then I was like, I don't understand why we didn't just, but whatever. Either way,
it's
just to give that update if you didn't see it. It's not my favorite choice, but just know that what probably I think us all going into Born Again season 2 timeline wise would have been the final week. It no longer will be, and it will now be the the Punisher's special presentation.
Yeah, which by the way, we're extremely excited for.
Oh yeah.
It's just a weird situation.
When isn't it?
Yeah, honestly.
We're literally always just like in reactive mode.
Like literal head scratches.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys come back next week as we take on 3 more Marvel news topics, whatever they're going to drop in the next week, because this was a big one. And on the podcast side, as we've kind of already said, we are covering Daredevil Born Again season 2. So make sure you guys are watching it, checking it out, and then checking out our episodes as well. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.